Good morning, all, and welcome to this week's episode of the CEO Momcast. I have with me Natalie, the founder of Born Naturals. I was able to take a quick minute, look through your website, and today seems to be my day of talking to people about skincare and body products. So I'm going to let you go ahead and tell us how you got started and where Born Naturals came from.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. Hello, everyone. If you haven't yet heard of Born Naturals, I am the owner and founder. It is a newer Canadian female-owned and operated company, and we specialize in hair care and skincare. So when I started the company, it was mainly focused on hair care, and it really started because I was kind of overhauling my life to be choosing more natural type ingredients for my personal care products. And I was posed with this dilemma of I either choose products that have really great ingredients that are, deemed safe, but the results are kind of like subpar, or I choose products that have really horrible ingredients, but they give fantastic results. And I was like, I don't want to choose. So I actually ended up formulating my own. And I started working with some of the top cosmetic chemists in Toronto. And I said, our challenge is we need to make natural ingredient hair care that gives salon quality results. So I don't want the harsh chemicals. I want it to be sulfate-free, paraben-free, phthalate-free, formaldehyde-free, SLS-free. And we are using also lightly scented natural essential oils. So there's no artificial fragrances. After 2 years behind the scenes of working with its chemists and probably giving them like incredible headaches because I'm very picky, we finally came across our formulas. So they're 100% original formulas. And the reason why we're able to get such good results is because we do not skimp on concentrations. So a lot of the natural ingredient hair care or skincare, why you might not be getting that wow factor is, I'm going to be honest with you, natural ingredients are very expensive. But at the same time, like if I want people to fall in love with my products and be loyal to the brand, I need to use them at concentrations that you are actually impressed with. So we set out to do it, and we proudly now have, I think there's like 15 products and accessories that we have in our line, with a bunch more that I have up my sleeve that I'd love to launch. So that's how I kind of got into it. And it's been really well received, which just warms my heart that people are, being mindful when it comes to what you're putting, not just in your body, but also on your body. So yeah, that's kind of my spiel on how Born Naturals came to life.
So I love using natural products. I'm a mom with young kids. My son has eczema, so we try to keep as much fragrance and crap out of our body care as we can. One thing I got to ask you, because it's something I've always found when trying different natural shampoos, especially, do you guys have the lather?
We do. We
Okay.
have the lather factor. So with anything, whether it is for skincare or for hair care, I always say you need to emulsify and get those ingredients working together.
Hmm.
And one thing, because we are so concentrated with ingredients, is that a little goes a long way. And I stress this because, I mean, I don't know if you can see, but I have like extremely
Super
long
long hair.
hair. And with Boost, which is our leave-in conditioner, even with hair like mine, when I say like use a dime-sized amount and people put gobs on, I'm like, oh, you shouldn't have done that. Literally for even my length of hair, a little goes a long way, dime size, emulsify until your hands are like Snow White, and then just ears to ends and wipe down. So very concentrated, it emulsifies perfectly. You do get the suds, but there's no SLS in it. So it is not harmful to the scalp or the hair.
Okay. Because that's always a thing. I know they tell you, I used to shop at Lush and get the shampoo bars. And it's like, you don't need the lather. And it's like, I don't
It's
know if
so
it's a state of mind
unsatisfying.
thing, but you're like, okay, but am I getting everything? There's no.
I
So
know.
yeah, I need the suds. It's a thing. And so many products I've tried and you just don't get it. So you never know if your hair is clean. And then you use a ton of it, like you said.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, great. So, you kind of covered it a little bit, but what sets you apart from others in the industry? Because right now, clean beauty is having such a time.
It,
Everybody is cleaning up their product.
it is. And honestly, like for me, my background is in health and nutrition. My other business, I do nutritional counseling for people all around the world. So whether it's my products they're buying or someone else's, like it really is just very nice to see that other people are getting rid of some of the more detrimental ingredients.
Mhm.
But what really sets Born apart is that we don't cut corners. And I'm very small business. Like I don't have any employees. I say we and us when I'm talking about Born. Me. I answer
Right.
every email. I pack every box. But I never want to lose that because I feel that when some companies or brands they get so big, they lose that connection to their customers and they no longer make decisions that they would do for their best friend or for their mother or their sister. And I make sure that all of my customers, like they are treated as my sister. I want the best for them. Anything that we're launching, I want to make sure that I would proudly, advise a loved one to use it. And then also just the ingredients, like again, with my background when it comes to nutrition and health and all those things, in my little black book of my contacts, I also have a lot of like-minded people. So when it comes to choosing ingredients, and I say like they're meticulously chosen, they're actually very meticulously chosen. We've chosen the jojoba oils on purpose and the chamomiles and the marshmallow roots because we know what it's either doing to the hair follicle or to the hair shaft. Are we opening or closing the hair cuticle? All these things have been thought of. So it's not just like, let's make something that is natural so we can stick the label natural on it. It's actually saying like, if someone's going to fall in love with this product, what's going to make them do that? And a little bit of psychology behind it is that bringing a female to detach and stray from her current anything to do with hair care or skincare is extremely hard. It's a
Mhm.
very emotional decision when you buy that product that you're like, I've been using this for years and I'm going to continue using it. And if I try saying, no, 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 try mine, oh, that's dangerous. Like you have to really have something that a female will actually abandon her current hair care, skincare, and adopt to a new one. And it's very interesting because a lot of women, so we're going to just say pretty much 25 and onward, a lot of their hair care, skincare stemmed from what their mothers bought them when they were teenagers. So we see this when it comes to face wash products, when it comes to shampoos. And if they go to the store, they naturally reach for the one that they grew up with. So
Mhm.
again, like that's a detachment that we need to be able to introduce and wow you enough that after your first use, you're like, okay, I'm comfortable switching. So that was my mindset when it came to like, if I'm going to try to lure this person away from who they've been loyal to, I need to do a really great job in convincing them after their first wash that this is a reason to make the switch.
I like that. And maybe I was a rebel as a teenager, but I would not touch a single product that my mother used because it
Really?
was the Olay and it was
Oh, okay.
this. And I was just like, ugh.
I
I
know.
was
There's
always
some
my
things.
own person.
Yeah, there are some things that I'm like, I'm so glad I abandoned that. Like, I was a child of the 90s, and like, do you remember lip
Right.
crackers where
Yes.
we were literally putting like glitter on our lips, consuming it, and we were just like,
Right.
this is the hottest thing ever. So there's a good and a bad between, being a rebel and not.
Right. And it's funny how things change over the years because now I have a daughter and people will buy her these cutesy little makeup kits and stuff. And I just look at it and I'm like, oh, she's not putting that anywhere near her. She doesn't know better too. So she's like this with the lip gloss. And I'm like,
Oh my God, I
oh,
love
you're
it.
eating it. So you're very well versed in this as well. Was this a big learning curve for you because of the more aesthetic side of the product that you're doing as opposed to the health and nutrition?
It definitely was. I'm the type of person where I need to know the why behind everything. A little aside that I'm not ashamed to admit, but I'm on the spectrum. I have autism, and something that comes with that is this desire that if I have a special interest, I need to know everything about it.
Mhm.
It definitely worked for my advantage because once I sunk my teeth into I'm interested in this, I needed to know not just what will it do, for how someone's hair looks, but also I needed to know the why behind why are we choosing this? What will it do? All of those things. So it made me become very educated in the area. depending on who I was listening to, learning from, different conversations with my formulators and my chemists and why we're choosing this over that. So it helped me in the long run. But I do always say that there's a difference between business owners that are in lab coats and suits and ties. And suits and ties, they can do wonders for a company when it comes to marketing and bringing up sales because that's their business, their suits and ties. But
Mhm.
they really lack the more like lab side or the health side. And for me, I think that that's equally, if not more important than having a really good suits and ties in your business is knowing everything about the product so that long term, how are you actually benefiting your customer? Because at the end of the day, like a really cool ad will only get you so far, and then they buy the product and they're like, that was all hype. Like
Right.
there's nothing to it. So I definitely forced myself to learn everything that I could about the products, the business, all the backstory, and then bring myself into the business. It's kind of difference of like working in the business and working on the business. So I needed to be able to do both.
I'm glad you brought that up because it is very true. And we live in such a consumer driven culture, especially with TikTok and Instagram and everything now. People are making millions off of little advertisements that they're doing for products.
Yeah.
Is this something that you have explored to get your brand out there?
It's actually funny. So whoever is watching this, if you are a UGC creator, an influencer of any type, it's probably like, this resonates with you. But I've approached some UGCs, some also just DM me and say like, I love your products. I want to make videos for you.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, this is great. And then they hit you with like their fees for a single video. And I get it. Like I respect that it's your business and it's how you make your money, but also it's a little bit of like, oh my goodness, you're asking like pretty much between $300 and $500 for a 7 to 30 second video. And again, it may make the biggest difference in the world to a company, but also it's like, listen, you're making this off of your iPhone. Um,
Right.
I am providing you with the products. I'm shipping you the products. I'm going to be obviously posting that you're the creator, which is furthering your business. Some of the time, I do think it goes a little bit too far. But
Right.
one thing that I do have to say is for anyone that's getting into anything, go at it as a professional, but also know that building relationships is one of the most important things that you can do. And I say this because I still remember in Born's infancy, I had a girl reach out to me on Instagram and she was like, hey, I'm just getting into UGC. I'd love to make you a video. And I was like, cool, I'll send you all my products. And she's like, I'm going to do the first one for free. And I was like, okay, good. Cause like, I want to make sure that the quality is going to be up to par.
Right.
And we've kept this relationship. I obviously started paying her for her work because she did a great job. And she messages me every once in a while. I've known her for almost 2.5 years now. And she has thanked me so many times that she landed her first four-figure deal with Ivory Soap. And it was
Oh,
because she was building her portfolio based off of the content she was making.
right.
And, Ivory, a huge brand, was so impressed with what she did that they are forking over a lot of money for her
Right.
content. But it's just so sweet that she was like, I want to thank you for giving me a shot when no one else would. I was a nobody. I didn't have a portfolio. And, we just kept that relationship building. She helped me, I helped her. And it's just like that sisterhood that you build, where
Right.
unfortunately there are some people out there and they're like, this is my fee. I won't budge about it, blah, blah, blah. And again, I get that. I respect it. But just think about the long term, how
Right.
for 2.5 years, she's been providing video. I've been providing her advertising. And also, I'm now paying for her content. And she's exploded when it comes to others finding her.
That's a good story. You don't hear the background, and this is what I've tried to explain to my daughter all the time. It's like they don't just have $1 million home overnight. Trust me, they started somewhere with something really small. Like,
Exactly. Yes.
so what is your support system like? You said you're a one-woman show in the business, but what helps you get through and balance your personal life and work and
It's a lot of discipline. I mean,
okay.
there is a lot of support there. I am very much kind of like in my own little silo. I don't have a business partner. My husband, although he says like, I'll do anything to help, but it's kind of like there's only so much you can do. So aside from like helping to pack orders, I can't have him, approving much or getting the ball started on things. But I think that really it comes down to just how disciplined you are over how motivated you are. And I see this, it can apply to anything, like even fitness, for example, where you cannot rely on motivation. Motivation is when you're like, oh, I'm feeling good and I'm hyped and I'm going to do this. And then hard times set in and that motivation goes away. If you don't have a strong foundation of discipline, of doing the mundane things when there's no excitement, unfortunately, it will be a very short-term lived happiness where the discipline is like, listen, I have my to-do list. I'm going to block off this time, distractions away, get it going. When it comes to support, I mean, if I need to rant to someone, I know the people I can call. When it comes to making some really big, whether it be financial decisions or imperative decisions when it comes to where the business is going. My father is an entrepreneur, very successful business, totally different field. But I have my soundboards of who I can call and be like, listen, this is the situation. Give me the good, the bad, and the ugly, and like, let's kind of jam it out. And I think that hearing yourself go through different scenarios, talking to someone is so much better than it just living in your head. Like,
Yeah.
even if they don't say anything of like, do this instead of this, you hearing yourself debate yourself, it works wonders. So talk out loud more, pretty much.
I say that to my husband all the time, and he thinks he has to come up with solutions, and I'm like, "No, no, I'm not looking for you to give me an answer.
Yes,
I've been doing this in my head for a couple days now, and is this making sense?"
I love that.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay. But that's what happens when you're a sole business owner or doing things on your own. Unless
yes,
you have that business mentor to jump your ideas off of, you've got to figure it out. There's only so
yep,
much internet research you can do.
exactly.
So your educational background, was it in health and fitness and you switched over to this, or was it something totally different?
Believe it or not, so I went to college for marketing and advertising design.
Okay.
And so my background was actually in that. In no in no world way back then did I ever think that this would actually happen. But I did that. I worked for an ad agency for about a year. And although it was like nice at the time, I didn't really feel like that was my home. There wasn't enough creativity for me. And I think that like when I was born, I was not meant to work for someone else. It just wasn't going to happen.
Mhm.
So I started my business when it came to fitness and nutrition. I still have that business and work on it daily. But then it was actually around the time that the pandemic happened that I started Born, which had its own challenges because the world was shut down for like it felt like 2 years. And a lot of the decisions that I was making for the company, whether it was sourcing my bottles, I couldn't source my bottles in Canada because not many people know this, but during the pandemic, Canada had a plastic bottle shortage. All plastics were just on a shortage. So I had to buy my bottles from the States, which means US dollar, which means more shipping. It was just, I needed to get it going. And because of what the world was going through, it made it a lot more challenging. But at the same time, it made me really understand how badly do I want this to succeed. Because if I was like, nope, just throw in the towel, then like it's not meant to be, I wouldn't have pursued it. So I think that everything along the like what got me here from the marketing and advertising in school, building relationships and my background in nutrition and health with the fitness, and then switching over to the natural hair care products, it all going together, it actually perfectly fit itself together.
Okay. And so obviously you're using those marketing and advertising skills. So it was never a wasted education in getting this business off the ground. Or
Yes.
do you solely have an online platform or are you in stores?
So right now, for since I launched, I've been pretty much only e-commerce, other than like
Okay.
some local stores. But that being said, I just signed on with a massive national distributor that's going to be helping get Born into stores across Canada. So
Oh,
yeah, it's really nice. They work only in the natural sector, so things like Healthy Planet, Goodness Me, all of those things,
okay.
including things like Sobeys and Shoppers. So we're hoping that over the next year, we're going to be able to introduce Born to these stores. And then hopefully people can start getting it not just online, but also in stores.
Now, I had this conversation with a guest earlier today. I'm in the United States, but I am Canadian, so I know the differences in a lot of these things. She said it was such a hard process to get your little bunny basically and say everything is clean, everything is good about this product. And how the FDA down here is just not as strict. Is the US market something that you're entering into, or do you have online customers from the US?
I have a large online presence in the US. I have many,
Okay.
many customers that order. I want to get into stores in the US. It would actually be easier because again, like there is so much red tape. For anyone listening, if you're Canadian, you're like, girl, I hear you. Because one of my products is it's a supplement and it's a 100% grass-fed beef organ complex. So it's a vitamin and it contains grass-fed beef liver, kidney, heart, spleen, and pancreas, which if anyone doesn't know, those are the most nutrient dense foods that are on earth. And they are in their most bioavailable forms because they're desiccated. Nothing is synthetic, it's all natural. So the thing about it is that although it's such a great product, here in Canada, we have something called an NPN, which is a natural health product number. And to get that NPN, it is extremely expensive and it's a lot of red tape. If it's a very simple product, such as vitamin C that has one ingredient, they classify it as like a one, and you can get your approval pretty fast. Mine just so happens to be very, very rare. You don't hear of this supplement often. So aside from the financial aspect, they're like, once we get an approval, it will take around 300 days for us to actually give you the NPN. And I was like, we've been working on this for over a year. And once you approve it, I have to wait another year. Whereas in the States, we can just put on dietary supplement and I
Yep.
can put on your shelf. So I understand that there's a reason why Canada is very stringent because they want to have the most stringent laws and rules, almost very much like Australia,
Mhm.
but it just makes life so much harder.
Right.
So it is one thing though that some people that know how strict it is to get things approved in Canada, when they hear that it's a Canadian company with everything sourced and made in Canada, they have a little bit more confidence buying because
Mhm.
they understand that all of the research has been done long before the product ever came to fruition. And these cosmetic chemists that we work with, them and their manufacturing facilities, they all need to be vetted to make sure that they have the cleanliness checked off, that they have all of the things so that when you go into production, you know that all of your things have been done. So it's a good thing because people have more trust, but it's also terrible for the business owner because of the red tape.
So, you were able to bring this dietary supplement to market in the United States before Canada?
It's available on my website. Anyone and
Okay.
everyone can buy it.
Okay.
I don't market it that much in Canada only because I'm still going through the process and I don't want any problems
Mhm.
with the government.
Right.
But in the States, it's one of my best sellers because they have
Okay.
absolutely no problem bringing that across borders for them.
And I think as a country, this past year, honestly, the United States has really started to focus more on homegrown and getting back to where we are. Our economy's taken such a shift, and we import so many things that Americans are getting really on board with buying stuff that's made here. Now, I know Canada is another country, but it's not foreign per se. We're not having everything come on a boat, and it's very important with the way everything is going. So I'm so glad to hear that like Canadian businesses are getting supported by this mentality because it has been a huge boom down here this year is supporting as
Yeah.
local as you can. So where do you see the business in 5 years? I know you've just signed this agreement with to get into mass retailers. What's next? More products, more.
Right now the focus is getting into as many stores as possible and proving to myself and the stores that I can get my products on and off of your shelves as quickly as possible. Like that really is the goal, is to get your products on the shelf and then literally get them off as quick as you can, because that means that there's a really good turnover. So that's going to be the focus. And I think that with people now understanding that natural ingredient products are one, a little bit more expensive, but also they are the way that we're going. Um,
Mhm.
the higher price of the product whereas before we saw it kind of like spooking people. It's being better well received now because the average product, people are like, well, wait a minute. I mean, like if I can buy, I don't mean to name drop, but like herbal essence for like $2.99, and then they start saying like, why is this product so much more? They're starting to put, two and two together and understanding that they're okay with spending a little bit more to get a little bit better. So my main focus is just introducing the product to as many people as I can. And it's really nice because, again, I do everything for the business. So I track all the orders and I see all the names come through. And it usually, I'll see, let's say, the name Jane Doe come through. And then a month later, she has upgraded from just buying my 240 ml. She's gone straight to the 1 liter because I have
Okay.
the value pack. So it's kind
Right.
of like for me, a pat on the back being like, okay, I impressed this consumer and she now has a confidence that she's come back, but she knows she's going to be loyal. So she's going straight for the 1 liter. So really
Mhm.
it's just a relationship building that I'm trying to focus on. In the next 5 years, though, I would love to have a national/international presence with the brand. Um, and eventually, I think every brand, they want to build their empire. And then if there were to ever be an acquisition, that really means you've impressed everyone
Right.
to the point that someone's like, get rid of her, buy her
Mhm.
out. And for me, it's my baby. I can't see that happening, but it's just one of those things where if someone comes to you and they literally want to buy your company, you know that you have made a very strong impact in the industry.
So I I love that little analogy you did about somebody buying one and then coming back and having that brand loyalty. Because I do think that's very important. And I think as a consumer, if you realize too, like you said, herbal essence $2.99, this, $20. Um, if you are a person who truly loves their beauty products, any shampoo salon quality is going to cost you that. So to switch to the natural ingredients of it is really a no-brainer. It's not a
Yeah,
cost thing.
exactly.
So
And I
that
think that's
clientele.
it is. And it's one of the things when you, as a brand owner, you need to understand that you do not cater to everyone and you don't have to. Like, I know my consumer, I know her values, I know where she shops, I know, what she thinks deserves her coin. And
Mhm.
and I know that for people that whether they consider them living frugal or on a budget or not caring about natural ingredients, whichever side of the spectrum they're on, I'm not catering to them and I probably will never get them to switch because they don't hold value in it. But
Right.
if you know your consumer well enough, you're like, okay, don't worry, sis. Like I'm not trying to sell to you. I'll speak my word to the people that I know place value in it. And then, the price isn't an option. If you think of
Right.
someone that has a peanut allergy and you say peanuts are on sale, they're like, I'm good. I can't have it. But
Right.
for someone that doesn't have a peanut allergy, they would jump on that and be like, oh, I love peanuts. I can eat it. I'll go buy them. So it's really just knowing who are you selling to and how to talk to them.
So what do you see coming up for 2025 with the clean beauty trends? What's a trend that you're really seeing?
It's so hard to tell right now because I find that a lot of the products that people already know and love, we are finding alternatives to or better ways to make them. Prime example, I'm sure that someone that's listening right now has heard of or uses the heatless curls, right?
Mhm.
And that is an alternative to what we all know and love, which are curling irons, which put a lot of heat on the hair. So we've taken what everyone likes and knows and trusts and made them question, wait a minute, is there a better way I can do this that is maybe safer on my hair or skin or whatever? And then they come up with something that is an alternative to that. So I see that because I've had so many requests from consumers of mine saying, can you make a natural ingredient heat protectant for when they straighten their hair?
Mm.
And I'm like, I'm on it. And then I talk to my chemist and they're like, that is the hardest thing to do. It's so challenging because
Yes.
what actually makes that product a heat protectant, trying to switch that over to a natural ingredient, it's like it's like trying to make a pie with, one of the 10 ingredients. It's just so hard to do it. So,
Right.
I mean, I am always keeping my eyes open and my ears open for like, what is it that I can try to improve on that can make people still, buy or do what they know and they like, but in a healthier way. I'm not someone that just wants to make a product just to make a product. I really like making products that solve problems. So even like my castor oil is, ancient Ayurvedic medicine. It's been used for
Hmm.
centuries. I love castor oil. It can cure like anything. I had a cyst on my back, and three specialists were like, "We need to book you in. You need to get that surgically removed." And I was like, "You're not cutting me open." And for 8 weeks straight, I applied my castor oil. I also sell the castor oil packs. I applied a generous amount of it every night to my back, wrapped it up, and I'd be sleeping for about 6 to 8 hours. And within 8 weeks, the bump, I have it on my Instagram, is completely dissipated. It actually pulled everything and drained it. I know people that anything from like ingrown toenails to plantar fasciitis, whether it is menstrual cramps, bloating, whatever it is, this oil is one of the most deepest penetrating oils that there is. It's very anti-inflammatory. I made sure that when I brought mine to the market, I was sourcing organic, hexane-free, mine's expeller pressed, in a glass dark amber bottle so that there's no oxidization.
Hmm.
And that product was made because I was like, we need to place an emphasis on more natural remedies for things that not just women, but everyone faces. So I brought that to market along with the castor oil packs. And thankfully I did, because I think I launched it just before Black Friday last year. And I sold out so fast that I was panicking, being like, oh my God, hurry up, order, get back in. Like I have people waiting. But it was just so nice to see that people were welcoming something that is centuries old, where they could
Right.
just go and pop a Motrin for their cramps or so. And they're like, you know what? I'm gonna trust it, and I'm gonna choose the alternative. So that was
Hmm.
amazing to see happen.
That's a, I didn't know castor oil did that. I know of the old wives' tales of women taking it to try to induce
And
labor and things like that, but I didn't know it had that many healing properties in it.
oh my goodness. It honestly, it's so fantastic. So for some of my products on my website, because I know everything about them, I actually make free PDF downloads because I want my consumers to be very educated. I want educated consumers so that they know me, they like me, and they trust me. That's how you build a relationship. So for the organ complex supplement, for the castor oil, for my hair growth serum, I made these educational free PDFs so that people can go on, purchase, get the PDF for free, read it, understand it, and then make an educated purchase into, buying the actual product. And in the castor oil free PDF, it lists a bunch of benefits for it. And so many people were like, I had no idea. But then, they'll do their own research and they're like, oh my goodness, like it helps with growing your lashes and your eyebrows and all of these things. And before you know it, they're putting castor oil on everything.
Wow. That's very smart of you because I think consumers these days want to be more educated on the products that they're using.
I
No,
think,
gone are the days where we're just blindly using things and not knowing what they are.
yes, yes.
All right. Well, Natalie, it's been so great talking to you today. To all of my listeners, Born Naturals is on Instagram with a link to the website for you to place your orders, strictly e-commerce at this time. So that would be the only way to get it until Natalie gets the product in stores. And if you are attending Modern Day Wife Toronto, are you going to be there?
I'm going to be there. I'm actually a panelist. I think I
Okay.
speak, yeah, I speak at 7. Tentatively 7 is I think when they said, and then I'll also have one of the little booths set up. So I'm going to
Awesome.
come with my products, and they'll be for sale. I'll try to bring a bunch of samples so that people can try them out as well. But yeah, whoever's listening, if you attend, I'd love to meet you in person. Check out the website. I will say it on here, but if you do want to try the products, you can get a discount on them. If I can say this, it's Born
Of
10,
course.
and that will give you 10% off anything that you purchase. So I hope I get to meet some of you. Sarah, are you going to be at the Toronto event?
I'm not going to be able to make it. My husband did have a work injury recently,
Okay.
so I'm going to have some surgery on his hand. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be in town. And I was so excited because it was going to be nice to come and do a home event for, because I've been all over the States for them. But yeah, I was really looking forward to a home event, but hopefully next year.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Well, it was so great talking to you today, Natalie. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Bye.